Don't you hate the world right now? Is everybody doing okay? Because I'm not. Let me read you a quote by Anais Nin. It goes like this. I could not live in any of the worlds offered to me, the world of my parents, the world of war, the world of politics. I had to create a world of my own, like a climate, a country, an atmosphere in which I could breathe, reign, and recreate myself when destroyed by living. I recently came across this quote and I was taken aback. It was very fitting for my situation right now. Because lately I've been feeling that there's this acceleration of slop and I cannot escape it, or I'm not trying hard enough to escape it. It's very addicting. You know what I mean? Watching memes, watching Netflix, sort of like sitting inside of my room, but also doing endless wellness routines in an attempt to better myself and become, I don't know, perfect, endlessly improve myself, stay young, do whatever it takes to just be extremely healthy. And it's very tiring. And then you have the world of war. There's a lot of bad things going on in the world. We all know that. We live in a world of war. We live in a world of very bad politics. And do we need to discuss it? I don't think we need to. So I have decided to delve into radical optimism. So this morning I was sitting in my office chair and I had a gigantic crash out. But you know, you're always just one fundamental crash out away from a generational lock-in. And so this is what I'm deciding for myself, and I'm diving into radical optimism head first. I don't want to look back on my life and say, oh, I could have done it sooner, I could have started sooner, didn't do it when I was ready. The thing is, I can wholeheartedly say that any of this I couldn't have done any sooner because I simply wasn't ready. I was definitely trying my best during the past 10 years, 15 years, because I really have been trying my best, but I have to admit now it's leading me down a path that I find is choking me. In the past couple of years, my attempt to improve my life has led me down the path of falling victim to like fake aesthetics and getting caught up in those. It has led me into these endless wellness routines. It has led me into meditation and affirmation and manifestation, and none of it has worked. None of it has improved my life, made me feel any better. So you know what? You know what I think is the only thing that can save me is to be brave and actually hustle, be radically optimistic about my life and what I can achieve and what is possible for me. And like I said, I have dabbled in manifestation and the law of assumption and all that stuff, but it's never worked for me. None of it. The only thing that has ever even just slightly worked was prayer. I'm not one to pray before bed, upon waking up every day. I don't do that, but I often ask for signs, and for me, that's the only thing that's ever worked that has made me feel kind of sane, is getting any kind of feedback from whoever it is that you believe in. The thing with prayer, though, and what I found out about prayer and faith is that faith is this endless process of moving from hope to trust over and over again. And even like the most famous priests in the world struggle with faith. I mean, have you seen Conclave? It is a problem. If you believe in anything spiritual or non-spiritual, there will come a time when your faith will be tested. And so it is, I know it's like very hard to stay on the path of radical optimism, to stay on a path of believing that anything that happens to you is good for you, because truly some things just suck and there aren't enough people saying this. There are a lot of people who will tell you, oh, it was meant to be, oh, this is just for your own best interest, blah, blah, blah. In the long run, you'll see how that has improved your life. And with some things, I just don't think that is the case. Sometimes people just treat you badly and there's no lesson to learn from it, especially if this is like the fifth person in a row who's just being extremely awful to you. So I don't believe in that. But part of this radical optimism, of course, has been made very popular by Dua Lipa. And I saw an interview with her on YouTube the other day. And I found the concept very enticing. I don't know what it is about this moment in time. Apparently it's my Saturn return, which I just found out is a thing from Dua Lipa. So I'm in my Saturn return right now, and I'm losing my fucking mind, which is why I have to do this. So I've been partly inspired by Dua Lipa, who's a very positive person. She has a lot of things going for her, and I noticed a lot of people online being very jealous of her, being very envious of her traveling the world, having a handsome husband, and reading, just being on vacation all the time, being a famous rich singer. Totally understand that, but how can we be as happy and as joyful as Dua Lipa without having the millions, without having achieved fame by the age of like 18? And the other group that has inspired me to talk about this or to delve into this topic is men. I wouldn't necessarily say that all men have this radical optimism, but I find the male psyche endlessly fascinating, and it is just baffling to me and so interesting how a lot of men, and I'm not saying some of them cannot be deeply hurt and upset for many years or months, but I found that men oftentimes have this way of choosing themselves automatically. They will walk away from situations. They will not really be too empathetic towards you in a way that would cause them like upset or emotional harm long term. They walk away from situations so easily. But this is not about my fascination with men. This is more so about the ability to radically detach. Not in a way that makes you cold, but just in a way that makes you like just move on faster, not cling to stuff. And this is where the source of life is really at, and this is where the source of joy is really at. You are a god in this reality. In this life, we truly cannot attach to things, and I'm not saying this in a cold way. For me, radical optimism is about being okay with letting go, whatever it is. For instance, if you have a relationship, radical optimism is about knowing that you're okay if it ends and not trusting it'll last forever. Even if it does, but you don't have to be radically optimistic about it being a situation that is gonna be there forever. Your husband could die, your wife could die, something terrible could happen, and I don't want to put that into your mind, but you know what I mean. We want to be radically optimistic about good things happening to us indefinitely, even if there are moments where bad things happen, even if there are moments where we're having a bad day. Can we accept that as part of a life that is balanced? And I don't need to remind you that if we only had good days, if we only had sunny days every day, we would kind of miss the rain. We want a little bit of up and down. We just don't want the stark contrast between like very horrible days and then just being okay. And then the next thought that I had to sort of accept, or I'm trying to accept, is we're having this unprecedented experience of being a human being on planet Earth. So if I am a god in this reality, and I've had very strange things happen to me over the years, things that I cannot statistically explain. So if I'm the god of my reality, can I make it stranger? Can I lock in? Can I actually do that now that I have the mental capacities to not be depressed forever when something bad happens? Can I lock in? Can I be radically optimistic about locking in? What if I put 5 years of happy experiences that I did not have into the next 6 months? What if I said yes to every freebie and every new experience? What if I let go of all the concepts, including the ones about manifesting, about how to live a good life, how to be a person in a society even? Like, what would happen if you would just become it? I cannot endlessly mourn the life that I had and what happened, what hasn't happened, and live in fear forever. And how do I do this? How do I lock in? How do I change everything about myself? Well, what if I change the way that I normally operate? What if I stop consuming all the same stuff that I do? What if I stop looking at the reels? What if I stop listening to the podcasts that I'm listening to? What if I unsubscribed from even the people that I like, the massage therapist showing me how to do a face massage, how to depuff my face? What if I just let go of them and let maybe not some other theories into my life, but what if I just let go of all the stuff that is kind of just clogging my brain with random stuff that I don't want in there? What if I stopped forcing myself to read the book that I find incredibly boring and just bought a new one? What if I tried 5 new restaurants in the next 2 weeks? What if the goal is just to experience life and do all the stuff that you didn't do in the past 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money either. There are many experiences that you can just have for free. If you're older, you could go to a bar that a lot of students hang out at and just watch, have one drink. You know what I mean? Like, just what if I would go canoeing in the countryside? What if I did stand-up pedaling? What if I got myself a pedal boat and I just went out on the river? What if I trust so deeply that my hands are open all the time for new experiences and that I'm not just staying home? What if I went outside and lived my actual fucking life? You think COVID stole a few years from you? Well, what if you put all those experiences that you could have had into the next 2 months? What if you were so radically optimistic about the fact that life is worth living and enjoyable? But then there's still a hustle part, right? How could I be radically optimistic about hustling? About, I don't know, like recording a podcast episode every week? Well, my problem with this is that I think I've stopped respecting myself, or maybe I've never respected myself precisely because I'm not hustling. I'm not working towards a goal. I'm not doing the best that I could. I have done the best that I could for many years. But right now, it's just like, it's so painful to stand where I'm standing that I cannot go on like this. Because there's sort of this call which feels like my fate, and it's ringing day and night. And every time that I'm not picking up the phone, something in me just is gnawing on these bars of its own prison. And I cannot keep doing that. It's making me insane. It's making me anxious again. And it's just, you know, I often like to think about if I met the love of my life tomorrow, would I feel good enough for them? And I don't think so. I think I would feel very unaccomplished because I'm not walking towards my goals. And I don't want to share a life with someone if I don't have a life of my own that I respect and that I actually like to get up for in the morning. And so I've been reading The Artist's Way, the workshop book, for the past weeks. And there is a convenience to staying blocked, especially for an artist like me. It's very convenient to not do the thing that you know you should be doing, or to not do the thing that you want to do, to not have enough inspiration. And even for me, it can feel as though my creativity is a sparse source, and that if I do a creative project for a friend, then I cannot work on my own stuff because my budget for this month is empty. And that's not true. Creativity is an endless source of goodness, and you just need to find out how to go into that well. So if you, like me, you have any creative endeavors or you are an artist, just remember that. And so a funny thing is that a lot of people have told me that they can really see me making it. And the radical optimistic question I have for myself is, why couldn't I? What's keeping me from being that person? Because I think I have believed in it for a very long time. It was just in the back of my mind, and I had zero tools, so I didn't know where to start. But the question isn't, can I get it? The question is more, do I want it? And that is my question for you as well. My radically optimistic question. Do you want it? It doesn't matter whatever else there is. It doesn't matter if you think you're too ugly, or you're too old, or too young. You don't have the skills. Do you want it? If yes, that's a starting point. And for me, I like going to, I really like films. I like the medium of films and moving images. However, it doesn't mean that I have to go to film festivals. It doesn't mean that I need to hang out with those people or do that kind of hustle. Maybe one day I will enjoy it, but for now, it's an endless cycle that makes me feel insane. I could also say another reason as to why I was blocked in the past was that I always felt my body could not keep up. So if I hustled for too long, my body would kind of give in, or I would get some random pains and aches. And I recently I've come to the conclusion that I will never truly heal or feel good or ready if I'm not doing the thing that I know I should be doing. So like my body precisely is sort of sick because I'm not doing the thing that I'm supposed to do regularly, daily, every day. Whenever I'm not moving towards my goals, I'll just end up sick and I'll end up extremely unhappy. What else? I also don't have to be the greatest at what I want to do. For instance, I'm not the most skilled singer, like by any means, but I love music and I do sometimes write songs. I would love to have a band and perform at a festival if I could. I think that would be very fun. So often when we take steps towards our goals, there's this censor coming up in our minds. Like, if you want to be a singer, or you want to be an actress or an actor, or literally anything else, there's often a censor coming up and telling you, well, but you're not the greatest. I'm sure you have some sort of idols, and you will look at those and think, well, but I'll never be them. Or I'm not instantly great at this. I'm not instantly great at filmmaking. I'm not instantly great at painting. So like, if I'm not just insanely gifted and talented after like 2 hours of trying the thing, then like, what's the point? And you should not listen to that voice. You should not listen to that voice. That is your censor. That is other people telling you that you shouldn't go for your dreams, or you shouldn't go for what you like doing. And I'm not of the opinion that you should only be doing what you're skilled at. I think you can also acquire skills. Do whatever makes you happy. And if you feel like nothing makes you happy, you have a calling. I'm sure if you sit down, you go into meditation, you know whether where you are right now is where you're supposed to be, or if you are happy staying where you are. And if you are not, just move somewhere else. Try something else. Do something off the list of things that you could be doing to experience more of life. And now comes the part that is most important for radical optimism. We do not want to spiritually bypass bad feelings or sadness. And what's often keeping us blocked is grief. So I've asked myself this a couple of times. If everything would be perfect tomorrow, would I still mourn the past? If everything would be perfect tomorrow, would you still mourn the past? Because for me, there's a lot of grief. There's a lot of heaviness that comes with the past. If I had the perfect life tomorrow, money, fame, amazing friends, amazing social life, everything I ever wanted tomorrow, I would still have to live with the memory of the things that have happened and all the painful things. And if you do this thought experiment, the grief that you will feel, I'm sure there will be grief that comes up if you have some regrets about the past. The grief that you feel now is the one that you have to give away, that you have to let go of. If you can't get over that grief, everything will always feel heavy. You will always feel tied to the past, think about the past, feel sad about the past, feel that you could have done better sooner. So this is the stuff that you actually have to feel, and you have to decide that now is a brand new day, and you're here to get it. You're here to actually start living today, and you can do it. Trust me, you can do it. Be radically optimistic about this. A good exercise to think a little different about the past is trying to pick out the good moments, even if you weren't fully conscious during those good moments, as I was. You know, there were a lot of times in the past that were actually kind of fun, but I wasn't there to fully enjoy them. But they were fun nonetheless. So you can sort of mentally go back, and this works very well. You just go back and you experience those things, those happenings retroactively with your consciousness now, and you just make yourself enjoy them as best as you can. And then you'll end up with this collection of very nice moments from your past. If you have a childhood, which I'm sure you do, go digging. Go digging. Go dig for the good moments. The one happy Christmas, you know, the day in school that was so fun when all your friends sat next to you, or you drew a very sweet drawing. You painted with watercolors. You went on a very nice walk. You went to the cinema. Whatever it is. I'm sure it is something. Even if you think nothing good happened between the age of 0 and 20, go dig. Not everything in your life was terrible. And I'm saying this as someone who has experienced a lot of adversions. And whenever you're done with this, it's time to create your future. Hello. It is your first day on Earth. It is the new book of your life. And you know what? You don't ever have to think about the past again. Yay! You don't ever have to think about the past again. Isn't that great? Isn't that that's, wow. If someone told me this today, I would be like, wow, well, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. All those people who were not treating you right. All those friends who just ghosted you. Every painful thing that has ever happened. The death of a loved one. People committing suicide. It's all gone. It's all gone. The past is gone. It'll never come back. I know it's fun to sort of dabble in those thoughts. I know it's fun, but it's done for. And you're here to create a better future. And you know what? The best is yet to come. Be radically optimistic about this. The best is yet to come. You can choose today to never hang out with a person again that is making you feel bad. You can morph into something else. You don't need to hang out with those people who are making you feel awful, who are not there when you need them. And you might think, well, I'm going to end up with 0 friends. Be radically optimistic about this. You will meet your people. You now have a lot of things that you can do by yourself, and you will meet people. Be optimistic about this. You will meet people. And be radically optimistic about this. If you bring the right attitude and you do not go places looking to talk to anyone and being annoying, but just enjoying the moment without music, without a book, no content, nothing to trash your brain, you will find that there are people out there who like you, who like talking to you, and who can help you. Don't stay around bad people. If you're living with them, my condolences. But it is an addiction. I'm saying this as someone who's recently kind of noticed this. It is addictive to be involved in other people's bullshit, in other people's relationships, and try to solve them instead of solving your own life. This is why women often have men as projects, because it's so distracting. It's so distracting and it's so fun to try to figure out someone else's life, which is so much easier than doing it for yourself, right? And you can do all of this without spiritually bypassing the sadness and the grief that you might still feel. You can't gaslight yourself into this state, which might sound like a contradiction. You cannot go out tomorrow and just decide you're a happy person now. You actually have to look at the things that are not working for you, and then from there you can morph into something else. But you know what? You can neither gaslight yourself into pretending you don't hear your intuition, that there's not a part of you that's screaming for attention, and that there isn't a voice inside of your head, a very tiny voice, a little elf in your ear that's telling you you're not happy where you are. A little elf that might be your former child self, that might be your guidance voice, that's telling you that you are suffering and you don't want to be, that you do want to be happy. After all that has happened, you still want to be happy. Your gift to the world in this life is being yourself and using your talents. I'm sure you have them. If you are drowning in all the social media noise and the false illusions about scarcity, which there are a lot of, and then you also have the real problems that are actually there. So I'm not here to gaslight you or any of you into believing that there isn't a lot of bad stuff going on. I literally started this episode with this, right? I opened with, aren't you tired of the world? But let's reinvent ourselves. Let's be radically optimistic, because you know what is not going to change? The bad people aren't going to be radically optimistic about the goodness in the world. So we need to be. Okay, we can't have the next generation being depressed. And if you're still not convinced that radical optimism is something that you should practice in your life, what is the alternative? Death? I can say that for me it is. As Anais Nin has so beautifully written, I cannot live in any of the worlds offered to me, so I have to create my own. The worst thing for me is believing that there's this path that we all have to take in life, where we're stuck in this full-time job, and then we get to start a family, and then we get to retire one day, and then we die. And we did all of it sort of unhappily. And some of these things are things that people want, that they want to achieve. They want to start a family. They want to have a house. They want to be rich. But the world that has been offered to me ever since childhood is not a world that I ever wanted to be a part of. I never wanted to be part of this stagnant society where every phase of your life is sort of prescribed to you. And I know there are some biological reasons as to why people start having children when they're 30. However, you don't have to believe in that. Don't think for a second that I have any of this figured out and that I'm such a strong believer. I'm doing this because I have to keep telling myself that these are truths. But at the end of the day, life is about joy. And if you're not experiencing joy, if you don't have joyful moments, then what is the point? what is the point? And changing is very hard. And I know a lot of people say this, that you just need to take baby steps even towards your goals. If you can't do that, if you can't be radically optimistic about achieving the thing that you think is impossible, you can at least start living radically optimistic today. You don't need to continue with any of the things that you've done so far. And if you're unhappy right now, that might be evidence that it hasn't worked out for you. Even if something made you happy 10 years ago, even if something made you happy 5 years ago, if it's not the case now, drop it. Drop it. It doesn't matter how much time you invested. Be radically optimistic about finding something else. Be radically optimistic that the only thing that you have to be in this life is joyful, happy, and persistent. That's all I have to say. See you in the next one. Goodbye, guys. Goodbye. See you in the next one.